All right, so it's a sand leveling kind of day. Gonna get started on here. So our first ever sand leveling video has, at date of me filming this, is over 1.1 million views, and because of that I've gotten a ton of questions about sand leveling. So in this video we're going to try to answer those questions and show you how we're sand leveling Sweet Oak Hollow today. I did put down PGR a week ago, and so I was a little bit hesitant about leveling today, but we're supposed to get some good rain tomorrow and actually all next week. So I really wanted to get it down, get the sand on there so the rain would help, because that's massive. If you can get good rain after a sand leveling project, it helps out a ton. I mean, you have to irrigate. If you're not getting rain, you got to irrigate a lot, help that grass grow through. But yeah, I was feeling a little bit nervous about it, but then John Ware, Budget Lawns, Scott Price, these guys all made me feel kind of silly for even questioning it. I asked them if they thought I should go ahead and do it, and they said, yeah, go for it. And they called me bad names, so go subscribe to their channels. But anyway, let's do this thing. So let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. These guys. What are these, right, Tool? Well, that's like a crayfish. It's a prairie crayfish. Talked about it on Instagram. Go follow on Instagram, the Lawn Tools, because I talked about the prairie crayfish. They make these big old mounds. People complain about worm castings, but crayfish castings are like 6 inches high. But step one, sand leveling. We're gonna scalp this baby. I set the Greensmaster 1000 there down to 3/8 of an inch. Normally I cut it 1/2 inch. So we're gonna scalp it down as low as we can. That's gonna help you see where the low spots are a little bit better, and also just help you spread sand easier when the grass is really low.
But first, he needs a picture to send Jeremy the greener lawn.
Oh, yeah,
so he's gonna what?
Yeah, Jeremy's doing that striping contest, so we're gonna put some cheater stripes in here, and they'll be nice because it's gonna scalp. Do something to send to old Jeremy for the striping contest. Here, real quick. Well, maybe I need to take it down lower. Okay, we're down at 1/4 inch now with that good old Real Old Dad custom hide to cut bar.
For those of you in Australia, that's at 6.5 mil.
Okay, well there's just us making the lawn fun again here, just for Jeremy's stripe contest, but for real though, gonna scalp it down. I kind of like that. I like that 1/4 inch right there. We may have to set the other Greensmaster to that height and do this all the time. It's actually not too terrible. It didn't scalp too bad, but after this leveling it'll be even better. So man.
Yeah, we'll keep it at 6.5 mil probably for the remainder of the season. That way we can get some real potting going on there in the Sweet Oak Hollow here. Be sweet. Be Sweet Oak Hollow.
So one question you get a lot is, what kind of sand should we get? What kind of sand? You know, this is masonry sand. That's what I ordered when I called the place. They have mason sand. A lot of construction supply places have that. A lot of places that sell topsoil, that, you know, they sell gravel and rock and all that sort of thing, will also sell sand. I don't know if it matters what they call it. You just need to make sure it doesn't have any rocks in it. That's the point. People use play sand. They'll get the bags of play sand. I mean, that would get really expensive, I think, if you're buying that enough to do your entire yard. But people use play sand. Again, this is mason sand, and I just made sure to ask them that if it had rocks in it, basically, and they said no when I got it delivered. This was last year. That pile's been sitting there on a couple of tarps for a year.
We don't use play sand because we don't play around.
Don't play around. Another question would be how much sand? The lawnforum.com, they have a whole sand leveling page, kind of a little guide. I'll put that in the description below. Their recommendation, that's what I followed when I did it the first time, was 1 yard per 1,000 square feet. If you look it up, just Google it. 1 yard weighs approximately 2,500 to 2,700 pounds, somewhere in that range. So if you order in tons, you just need to know that a ton is not necessarily the same as a yard. Does it make that much of a difference? Probably not, but I don't know. I don't think we measured anything. We didn't measure square foot. We didn't measure out how much sand we were using. We just cover it up and do it until it looks like it's enough, really. It's helpful for ordering. When you're ordering sand, you know, you might want to order a yard per 1,000 square feet and use about that much. But when you're actually putting it out on your grass, you just kind of have to eyeball it and see that everything is level and that it's thick enough in the places where you have low spots so that it's going to be smooth when it's all done. Here's a question I get a lot. Right tool, when you're doing a sand leveling project, do you have to put all that slow-mo sand slinging B-roll into the video?
Hey there, right tool. Can you use too much sand?
Yes, I guess is the answer to that. You could put too much sand down on your grass. So this is Bermuda grass. When we did the front yard, we covered it up completely, didn't we? We didn't we didn't leave any of the grass blades showing above the sand. That's not the recommendation. Everybody says you need to rake it down and let the grass blades stick up above the sand just a little bit. We did not do that. And have you seen my front yard? Anyway, yes, you could probably use too much sand. There is an amount, I don't know what it is. You just don't want to go putting 4 inches of sand above all of your grass. It might grow through that just fine. It's just gonna take forever. I would say do just barely to the tops of your grass blades, a little bit thicker than that, a little bit over the top of that. And then if you have to, you can do another project later. Don't just go like 4 inches on top of all your grass at one time.
It definitely smells like poop.
Here. So it looks like I got a little too low with the tractor bucket and I got into the dirt a little bit. I have to pick that out. So what about fertilizer? For fertilizer, you want to put a bunch of, I put 1 pound per 1,000 square feet of nitrogen after the sand, and then because you're watering like crazy, that nitrogen's gonna get down there. All those nutrients are gonna get to the grass and help it grow as fast as possible. I did see something just today. I was looking at that forum that I was telling you about on the lawn forum. They're talking about sand leveling. And one of the guys on there, I think it was Telly Coleman. I hope I'm not saying that wrong. He's one of the dudes on there that's just super insightful, has lots of cool ideas. Anyway, he was saying that he would put nitrogen down before. He put like, you know, 1 pound of nitrogen down 24 hours before the sand leveling project, and then watered it in really well, and then put the sand down. Normally, you know, they'd say if you put a bunch of granular right before you put the sand down, you're gonna spread the sand around and you might end up moving the nitrogen pellets around. But he's saying if you fertilize it really well and then water it in like crazy, I guess then you'd also want to wait for your grass to dry before you put the sand down. But if you could do that, if you could get the nitrogen there and not have the pellets sitting there so that you don't spread them unevenly while you're moving the sand, theoretically that would work really well, because then you'd get the grass a head start on that vertical growth through the sand. But really what you're going for is trying to fill in the little dips, the holes and the uneven, I know it's hard to explain, like not the undulation in the ground. I kind of like that, especially for a green. It's kind of cool if it has some curve and some slope to it, but you want it to be smooth. You don't want there to be undulation and then, you know, drop and then go like this, whatever, little dips. Right back here, I had a couple of those. There was a spot that got kind of wavy, where 3 little dips in a row, and my mower would bounce in there every time. There was like a hole right here. I don't know if that's where that mole was last year, and it all kind of collapsed. There was just a big kind of chunky dip and basically fill, and that was sand. That's the goal. We didn't cover the grass blades completely on this project because we did this last year, so this one wasn't too bad. But again, on my front yard, I'll see if I can find some B-roll from that project. The grass was completely covered all the way, and it came through just fine. So this shouldn't take too long to recover really at all, I don't think. I wasn't really even planning on doing the sand leveling today, but when the rain was in the forecast, I just kind of had to go for it because I knew I wanted to do it at some point. I also wanted to get it done semi-soon because in mid-July, we've got a birthday party with a miniature golf course coming in, and I want to be able to use Sweet Oak Hollow for 1, maybe even 2 of the holes. Yes, theoretically, if you do the sand leveling right before a thunderstorm, it could wash out in certain places. If you have channels in your yard where water likes to rush through, you may not want to do it if you have a thunderstorm in the forecast. You may want to control your water by yourself. But the rain, when it kind of floods, if it even puddles up, the sand is kind of self-leveling. The water will kind of push it to the places that are low, and so we kind of like it when we get a ton of rain. That's why I'm saying water a ton, because that water will move the sand to where it needs to go, at least a little bit. You want it to be flat, you know, after you get done raking anyway. But again, lots of water is good. Another question would have been about what kind of tools do you need to do the job like this. This is a 36-inch landscaping rake. I've thought this thing is awesome for lots of different uses around the house. I've used it quite a bit. They make leveling rakes. I don't know if you'd call that a leveling lute, what exactly it is, but it's a, I'll try to find a picture of it, but it's more of just crossbars and kind of a flat rake. And people really like those. I've never tried one of those before. I have my big drag that I pull behind that four-wheeler when we did the big part of the yard, and that is a lifesaver because doing this on the entire yard would be insane. But back here on this is only like 1,000 square feet. Sweet Oak Hollow is about 1,000 square feet, and that would be overkill. You might end up being able to drive across it like once or twice with that big thing, and then you just have to pick it up and turn it around and whatever. It'd probably be more of a pain than what it's worth. For 1,000 square feet, just get a rake or a leveling rake and go to town. Normal rake will work. I mean, whatever gets the job done. You just need to get the sand out onto the ground and get it flat. So it just depends on how much work you want to do. Just the leveling rakes make it easier. I will say having something that's wider. So those leveling rakes come in like 36-inch. I want to say even wider than that. But a wider rake is better because then it's not going to fall down into the cracks. The smaller the rake is, the more your rake is going to go down into the grooves that you're trying to flatten out, and the sand is going to get raked out of those grooves. I think that makes sense. So here's a good example. The rake is on a high spot and then also on a low spot, so there's a gap down there. So the sand, if I put a bunch of sand right here and I just rake across this area, the sand will go under the rake instead of getting raked out of the gap. But yeah, I think that kind of wraps it up really for this sand leveling project. I'll show you some of the B-roll, I guess, of me putting a sprinkler on it and a little time lapse of it recovering over time, because I don't plan on putting this video up super soon, so I'll be able to show you exactly how it's recovered all the way up until it's green, I think. What? What is Left Tool doing?